Hi, Greg Lewis, MetaStock Software. You're about to watch one of the presentations from the 2017 Online Traders Summit. I know you're going to enjoy it. Before we begin, I want to tell you just a little bit about us here at MetaStock. We've been in business for about 30 years. MetaStock is about the most powerful platform you can get for the private trader anywhere. You can test, you can scan, you can forecast, you can customize to your heart's content. It's an amazing piece of trading technology. If you'd like to get a free extended trial of MetaStock, I encourage you to go to metastock.com/traders-summit 3-for-1. That's metastock.com/traders-summit 3-for-1, or just click one of the links provided, and you can get 3 months of MetaStock for the price of one. That's an amazing deal. I encourage you to do so. I know you won't regret it. Please enjoy the presentation and successful trading.
All right, so we're to the part where I start my presentation. That worked out pretty well, I'd say. Hope you're enjoying the event, guys. If you have any feedback, a few of the things that are being asked, and I'm just going to reiterate these. Number one, biggest question that we always get is, are we recording the session? The answer is, of course, we're recording the session. We over the weekend, my video team is going to work on kind of getting all of the videos recorded and over to YouTube. And as soon as they're available, it's probably going to be like Wednesday or Thursday. I'll email you personally with the links. Okay. Thanks, Shady. Shady says, Jeff, you rock. Second question we get a lot, when you registered, you noticed there was like a lot of free bonus offers from like stocks and commodities, all of the presenters today. What's going to happen with those free offers is over the weekend, probably tomorrow, I'm going to go through the list of everybody that registered, spend 2 or 3 hours actually separating all the lists out and kind of getting your information over to the for the bonus offers. The companies like stocks and commodities will fulfill their bonus offers directly. In other words, I don't have to send them, I just have to go through the list. So you can watch for those special bonus offers. They should be delivered to you Monday, Tuesday, early next week. Okay. Trey says, winter is coming and I'm scared, especially when I move into my new house. I hope it's not haunted. Trey, congratulations on the new house. I hope you like it. Okay. All right. I'm going to read the legal disclaimer again because I'm going to talk for about an hour, but today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the company software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific information and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock should have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. I have only read that like once or twice. So I want to tell you a little bit. We're going to slow down a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about MetaStock, a little bit about, maybe we shouldn't slow down a little bit. We have a half hour. Anyway, just to kind of give you some background on me, again, I've been working at MetaStock for 20 years. And I started in inside sales. I did that for the better part of a decade. I think it worked out to be about 9 years. And so a lot of you older timers probably talk to me on the phone when you're looking to buy MetaStock and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy working here. You know, we used to be owned by Reuters. When I started, we were owned by Reuters. And it's been a good relationship for us, particularly about 2 years ago, or I'm going to say 4 years ago, because time flies, we actually purchased ourselves back from Thomson Reuters. So in 2013, we became our own company again. We still have a great relationship with Thomson Reuters, though, and we're really happy that, you know, one of the products that comes with like our real-time product includes a product that Thomson Reuters invested like $1 billion into. And we can provide really good fundamental news and information. And if that's something you're interested in, you should definitely look into MetaStock Zenith. We're not going to talk a lot about MetaStock Zenith today because we're going to talk mostly about MetaStock. But it's been a great relationship. We've been able to kind of go our own way, really focus on kind of like what we want to do is serving our retail market, whereas they really serve a lot of institutional traders. So it's been great. The fact that we can go in and, we have lots of customers in India and Australia and London and just all over the world. And that wouldn't be possible unless we had data and probably some of the best data on Earth. So a few of the things that we're proud of is, of course, MetaStock. And that's our flagship product. We design it and we engineer it here in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a little bit rainy today on a total random note, but, 25 years in a row, it's been rated #1. And if you're looking for a technical toolbox that can help you scan markets, test trading ideas, forecast price movements, get real-time alerts and commentary, it's really a toolbox that allows you and enables you to do it. I've seen so many products over the years that like cost $3,000 and do like a fraction of what MetaStock does for you. And so, of course, we're going to talk about it in a bit more detail, but you can get an extended trial at metastock.com/tradersummit 3-for-1. I literally wouldn't trade without it. Okay. Well, it's really what I want to talk about today is kind of a few of the hidden gems in MetaStock, and we might get to all 3 of them, but the title of the presentation is my 3 favorite things about MetaStock. And if we don't get to the 3rd one, I'll do the 3rd one in Q&A because we have unlimited time once we get into Q&A. But the first thing that I want to talk about out of the 3 things that are kind of like my favorite things in MetaStock is RMO. Now, RMO stands for the Rahul Mohindar oscillator. Rahul Mohindar has actually been working with MetaStock for longer than I've been an employee of MetaStock. He's one of our best dealers in the world, and he's consistently one of our best dealers in the world. He's Indian, from India, and he runs a company called Veritech Software out of India. He does a lot of training on how to trade to Indian customers. He's a panelist on CNBC, just a real nice guy. And the reason we include RMO in our MetaStock software nowadays is several years ago, I think this was probably about a decade ago now, I'm getting older, but about a decade ago, he was in our office. He comes in about every year and we go and kind of have some fun with him. But one of his earlier visits that I remember with him, he actually showed us this methodology. We were asking him, how do you sell so much MetaStock in India? And he's like, well, let me show you one of the methods that I use. And so we took a look at his method. We really liked it, and we bought rights to include it with MetaStock. And it's been included in MetaStock ever since. I've also probably done about 800 or 900 classes on just this methodology. It's called the RMO oscillators inside of MetaStock. And so there's plenty, I've shown it everywhere. I've shown it here in the US, I've shown it in Europe, I've shown it in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, you name a place, I've probably demoed this system. It's the first system I started trading with, okay? And there's a couple reasons that I like to show this methodology. It goes back to what you were saying a little bit earlier. I believe it was Richard. It's off of my screen now. But I've seen so much today, and it seems like MetaStock has so much, and all of that is true. One of the things I like about MetaStock is it is a program that grows with you, and not that you grow out of. But the reason I like to show RMO is it's a very easy to use method. It's included with MetaStock for free. It's 100% objective. So like, for example, I'm not going to say, well, based on what Trump's DACA announcement, what do you think the market is going to do? Based on QE15, what do you think the market's going to do? We're not looking at that. What we're doing is looking at stuff that's very, very objective, easy to look at, and easy to implement into your trading. The other thing is if I do my job well today, you'll know where your stop losses go. In other words, you'll employ solid money management when you use it. And again, I've shown it all over the place. You can use it on any time frame that you want. I'm going to show it on daily today. Works on a lot of different instruments. And it's a fairly simple methodology once you understand it. It's basically a 3-step methodology. Now, it is a trend-following system. And I'm sure you've heard like the trend is your friend or befriend the trend or, one of those market cliches that kind of exist out there. But this is a trend following system. And it's designed to kind of look, and it works better with markets that trend. And it does a really good job of evaluating and determining the trend. In fact, that's kind of the whole idea of it. If you want to trade with the trend, or if you want to befriend the trend, you want to be able to identify the trend. And when we start to talk about RMO, we're going to talk about trends on 3 different time frames, or horizons, if you would. There's a long-term trend, which Rahul calls the primary or the prevailing trend, and I call it the long-term trend. There's a medium-term trend, and there's a short-term trend, and we'll deal with all of those. But the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of dip into MetaStock and show you really kind of how you identify the primary or the prevailing trend. So let's see let's go ahead and look here. Okay, I got a chart open. I think it's Apple. We could probably use it on this one too. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is the Dow actually. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the commentary here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the RMO. Okay, step number 1 is we want to be able to identify the primary trend or the long-term trend or the major trend. Okay, the way that we do that is we'll use this. Rahul calls it the Rahul Mohindar oscillator. This RMO, this green indicator at the top. Okay, and again, remember I said this is simple to use and it's also objective. So the way we read this indicator is I'm just going to go ahead and make it full screen. It's either bullish or it's bearish. The way you read it is, I'm just going to put a 0 line right here. It's very obvious where the 0 line is anyway. But if we're up above 0, what it's telling us is the trend right now is bullish. And if it's down below 0, the trend is bearish. Okay, that's it. And you'll notice if I go back, that's not what I meant to do. But if I go back to this chart, you'll just see this ribbon at the bottom of the chart that says RMO is bullish, RMO is bullish, or RMO is bearish. Okay, so right now and for the last, well, since November, we've been bullish. Okay, on a long-term basis. Okay, there was a little bit of time here where there was a little bit of weakness that came into the market. It pulled back a little bit and it started to get bearish. But for the most part, since November, probably about the election period, it's been bullish. Okay, now what does that mean? Okay, well, if it's bullish and you want to trade with the trend, it means you're going to be looking at long trades. That's it. You don't want to look at short trades. You're not allowed to go short. You're going to be basically the RMO being bullish basically just means, simply enough, as long as this is bullish, we're not allowed to take short trades. We are allowed to go long. Okay, I'll try to be really careful about the way I word that, because we're not just going to go long if it goes above 0. This is our bias, right? This basically is saying, okay, well, as long as this is going up and the trend is up, we're going to put the odds of our favor and trade in the direction of the long-term trend. Okay, and even if we did buy if it was above 0, which I don't recommend, well, everybody can say that since the election, we've had some of the biggest market rallies we've ever had, right? So it makes sense until we see weakness, which eventually the market will go down. It doesn't, as you know. But as long as we see strength, we're not going to go short into that trend, into that strength. We're going to wait until it becomes weakness. Okay, so that's step number 1 in a nutshell. Just looking at the time. Okay, we identify what the primary trend is doing. If it's in a bullish zone, which it has been on the Dow forever, or since November, I should say, then you're allowed to go but long. Okay, we're not allowed to short, and again, it's not a trigger. This is a 3-part system. Okay, just glancing at the questions here. Trey says, God bless Utah, the greatest state of the nation. Can everybody see my screen? Is it just one person that can't see my screen? Okay, Bill. Okay, good. Good. I hate it when I do like 30 minutes and I find out at the end of that 30 minutes nobody could see my screen. So, all right, very good. Very good. If you are having issues seeing my screen, it seems like it's been a common issue today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of advice. If you're using the Windows client, what I'd recommend that you do is you should see in the top of that client, File, Options, View. If you click on View, you should be able to see View Full Screen and View Windowed mode. Try changing modes. That usually helps. I had the same issue, and that fixed it for me. If you still can't see my screen, what I would recommend that you do is actually leave and come back. Okay. Cool. All right, let's go back into MetaStock. And I'm glad most of I can't say that I've done 20 minutes of a presentation. I looked at the chat window and said nobody saw a bunch of people talking about how they couldn't see my screen, and you know that sucks. So I'm glad most of you could see the screen. Matt asked a question: is MetaStock available for Macintosh? Not natively, but it works really good on Parallels as long as you've got Windows installed. We're looking at creating a Mac version, and it probably won't be too soon because of where that would fall in our development cycle. Right now, we're kind of redoing everything, but we are getting more and more requests for Mac. We do have a lot of people that use MetaStock on Macintosh, but they're using it through Parallels or Boot Camp, and they're using it in Windows. So thanks for that question. Okay, so let's talk about step number 2 again. That was step number 1. We're identifying the long-term bullish or bearish trend. Step number 2 is what we want to do is we want to look at the intermediate or the short-term trend. Okay, and the way that we're going to do that, I'm just going to change the view. In MetaStock, you can change the view in MetaStock just by changing it to like a line style here. Anytime you want to change anything that's on the chart, if you double-click on it, it's going to bring you to a properties dialog box. And I prefer to look at RMO this way. Okay. The next thing that we're going to concentrate, though, on is the short-term trend of the stock, which is what Rahul calls swing trade number 2. It's this pink line, or the pink histogram that's on the chart. Okay. The thing is we read that the same way as we read the other long-term trend. Okay. It's just a lot more volatile because it's looking at like a shorter time frame. So this would be your short-term trend. What we do is we look at it. If it's above 0 here, what we would say is, okay, we're gonna be bullish short term. Okay, so if we're looking at it at the very end of this chart, right now our primary trend was bullish, but our short term trend is bearish. Well, that means we don't do anything. We want them to both match up. Okay, as long as they both match up, we're still allowed to go long. So right here in these areas of the chart where it's above 0, we're allowed to go short, or we're allowed to go long, as long as it matches our primary trend. So it's like a second filter that we apply to the chart. Okay, and that's it. So as long as the primary trend is bullish and the short-term trend is bullish, you're still allowed to buy. You're still not allowed to short. You don't want to trade against the trend, and neither one of these is a trigger. We'll talk a little bit about the trigger right now. If they don't match, if the primary trend and the short-term trend don't match, well, you don't want to buy. You want to wait till they match. Trading is about putting the odds in your favor. So if you're showing bullish long-term but bearish short-term, you want to wait until more of the traffic lights actually kind of line up before you start heading into town. Okay? In that case, you're allowed to wait, or you can use the MetaStock scanner to search for other opportunities. Okay? Does that make sense for everybody? Ganna asks, is there an exploration? Yes, there is an exploration for MetaStock, or for RMO in MetaStock. So let me go ahead and go back here, and I want to talk a little bit about how we trigger into a chart. Okay. One of the things I want to point out about the short-term trend is you'll notice if the short-term trend is above 0, you're going to start to get blue bars. So you don't necessarily need to look at these as indicators. You can look at the ribbon, which tells you what the long-term trend is doing, and you can look at the color of the bar, and if it's blue, then short-term you're in a bullish trend, and if it's red, then short-term you're in a bearish trend. So you can just look at those if you want to, right? It's up to you. You can use either one of them. Okay. Now you'll also notice that there's buy and sell signals that are placed on the chart, and I'm going to tell you how those are actually kind of formed and when to take advantage of them and when not to. Let's go back to this view again. Okay. This is a short-term trend, as we were talking about earlier. We talked about the long term. It's in its own upper window. This blue is actually your medium-term trend, okay? And you're measuring it as a medium-term trend. Now with this one doesn't need to be above 0, okay? What we're looking for is when the stock starts to become either more bullish than normal or more bearish than normal, okay? And the way that he measures it very specifically is when the short-term trend goes up above the medium-term trend, as it did right here where I drew this horizontal line. That's basically what he calls a change of direction or a change of momentum or a change of force. What we're seeing is more bullish short-term activity than medium-term activity. He calls that a bullish change of direction or change of force. And when that happens on a chart, you're going to get a buy signal. Okay, so if I go back here, well, I kind of missed it by just a day, but this buy signal right here was generated by this cross of the short-term and the medium-term opportunity, or the trend, okay? And then when it crosses back down below, you're going to get the sell signal on the chart, okay? And every time that happens, you're going to either get a buy or a sell signal, okay? Now, obviously right here, we're in a bullish trend, so if you get a sell signal in a bullish trend, with both, in this case, it's long-term is bullish and short-term is bullish, then we're going to disregard it. Okay, we want the trends to match. Now, if this sell signal comes in and everything starts to fall apart and you go bearish, then you can look to take advantage of that as an opportunity. And that's exactly what happened in the kind of a reverse scenario if we start to look at the chart right here. Because I want to walk through exactly how you would kind of manage a trade. Again, remember the rules are very, very specific on here. Okay, so if we were starting to look at this on 11.9, we get a buy signal, but we're not going to take that as a buy signal because the bearish, we're bearish long term and we're bearish short term. Okay, so that particular case, we might be in a short position, but in that particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to let a trend establish. Okay, and this method is never going to get you in at the high. It's never going to get you in at the low. It's generally Robert Deal had a saying that I really enjoyed, and he said it so well. He's like, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. Since this is a trend-following system, it's going to wait until the trend establishes, and then it's once you start to see a bullish rise, then you can start to get long into a trade. In this particular case, we had our buy signal here, but it took another 3 daily bars for it to actually institute a long trade. Okay, now that everything's kind of lined up in the direction that we're anticipating, we're totally bullish. Long term, we're bullish. Short term, we're bullish. And we had our change of force or a change of momentum just 3 days ago. At this point, we can structure a trade. Okay, and remember, Rahul is really specific about the way he teaches this in India. What we want to do is, before we get into a trade, we want to set up the parameters for that trade. Okay. So right here is where we're actually looking to go long. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your horizontal line tool right here in MetaStock. We're going to identify the highest value within the last couple of days, right? So this is the highest value that we'd be looking at here, here, here. So we're going to go ahead and put a horizontal line right there on the chart, okay? We're going to do the same thing with the lows for the last several days. Now, there's a couple of different ways Rahul teaches to do this. He'll either say put a line right below the recent pivot, which is right here, or you can also do it the same way you would do it on the lows. Okay. Typically, this is the method I use, is the higher value. So here's the lowest value of this day and the lowest value of the day before, and this is where my second line goes. Okay. Now, this is the line that we're going to enter in. So what we're saying is we want it to confirm just a little bit more that it's not just kind of in this sideways channel. What I want to do is I want it to break the high, okay? Confirm that it's going to likely go into a trending movement. And when it does that, as soon as it goes over 189.58.3, I'm going to buy, okay? 189.58.3 is kind of our buy spot. Then what we use the second line for is that's where we're going to say, okay, we were wrong. Okay, so in this particular case, if we go long on this particular instrument and for whatever reason, this stock drops below 186, 199, we're going to admit we're wrong. We're going to go ahead and close that position, and we're going to get out of it. Okay, that's how that works. And so before you initially get into this position, 189.58 is your entry price, and you know exactly what your kind of nominal risk is. I shouldn't say exactly. Let me backpedal that a little bit, because stocks gap, and you have overnight gaps and that kind of stuff. But you have a pretty good estimation of what your risk reward is going to be before you enter the trade. How is that helpful for you? Well, because you're not making a decision just because it drops 100 points that day that you're getting out of the trade. You already know, and hopefully you're going to get out before you lose 100 points, but you already know that this is your line in the sand. You're not getting married to an instrument just because it's going up and then it comes back a little. Is it still going to go up? No. You know exactly what those are. And you're avoiding emotional decisions while you're taking trades, which is important to discipline. Okay, so right now I know what my stop losses are going to be. Okay, I know where my horizontal, I know what my entry price is going to be. In this case, we would have opened up on this bar, 189.92, and we would have gotten out of that trade at about 186, 199. Okay, let's go through this trade a little bit. I have a little bit of extra time because we're going to run out. This is the only method I'm going to show you. I'll show you the other two things that I really like in MetaStock a little bit later. I'll show you during the Q&A session the rest of my presentation. But right here you got a short position. Again, if you're bullish long term, this basically just signifies there's a little bit of weakness. It had a good run up. You're seeing a little bit of weakness. That's natural market behavior. Okay, so you'll disregard this until you go bearish. If it goes bearish, short term and long term, you're going to go ahead and get out of that trade. But a lot of times what happens in an uptrend, you guys have seen this 100 times. It goes up, pulls back to a little bit of a point. Some of the sellers come in, reestablishes some equilibrium, and starts to go up again. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. Here it kind of got a little weak short term. The buyers stepped back in and started to push this thing up and issued another change of momentum or change of force on this thing. Okay? Now, one of the things that you want to do, now we're in a trade right now. Right now we have a stop loss in place. One of the things that you want to do is we want to be able to cover some of that some of that risk. Right now we have a feeling, because the buyers are stepping in, we have a feeling that the stock's going to start to move up again. In this case, the whole market, because we're looking at the Dow Industrial Average. Okay. And at this point, you could buy more positions, but there's something that you want to do that that's very, very important. I don't like to buy more positions, by the way. I like to just buy how many I'm going to buy initially. Okay. But if you want to come in, what you're going to want to do here is we anticipate the market's going to go up, but we've set up a new support level. This area right here where it's been setting kind of sideways looks like a really good support level. What we want to do when we get this new buy signal is we want to move up our stop loss. Okay, so let's do that. And the way you're going to do that is very similar to the way you did it before. You kind of look for a recent low activity. I'd put a stop loss right here at 196. Okay, and then this is, and again, now we know that we're going to make some profit when we exit out of this thing. Okay, here we have a bit of a pullback. We get a short signal, and then we set up another place. And maybe we would move our stop. I probably wouldn't. They're pretty. Where I would move it to is just right here anyway. So, but what you're doing is what we're trying to do is we're trying to take big chunks out of a large trend, and RMO does such a great job of that. Okay, here we get a bit of a sell position. You'll notice we get really, really weak here, and it's most of the time you're going to get out of this on one of your stops, but as soon as everything starts to get weak, you'll get out of the market. So you probably would have exited this position right here at 204. If I remember right, we got in at about 197. We were in for just a couple of weeks. It was a really, really good trading opportunity. Okay. And just a few final thoughts. We're going to need to get ready for Don Kaufman here. But just kind of, it's such a good methodology. I've shown it all over the place. And I guarantee you, even if you just use the bullish, bearish ribbons as part of this system, just staying bullish for the last several months and only looking to put long positions has probably been extremely beneficial. Okay, and this does a really good job of identifying the trends in the marketplace and keeping you on the right side of that trend. And again, that's why I like to show this thing off. MetaStock is a very big toolbox. And one of the reasons I like to show this is it's something that you can implement right out of the box that works on a lot of different instruments. It's very easy to implement. It's something that you can understand very, very easily. Okay. We'll talk about dynamic, I'm just checking my time, trading tools in Q&A. I'll go through the other two tools that I like at the end of today's session, just so we don't run behind. Ashok, a few questions though. Ashok says, is this RMO included with MetaStock or is it extra? This is included with MetaStock. It's been included with MetaStock for a number of years. So, Gana asked earlier, is there a scan for the RMO? Yes, there's a scan. Susan, I'm sorry you're having issues with the screen. Hopefully that's been resolved by now. Anne asked me to how to draw the upper and lower levels. Okay, right here, it's really easy in MetaStock. Here's all of our drawing tools right here, and this you can rotate around if you need to. But here's your horizontal line tool. What you do is you just grab it, and you just put exactly where you want that level on the chart, and it just draws. It's really, really easy, like most of the things in MetaStock. Okay, let's go ahead and kind of this stuff I'm going to come back to. So don't worry about this. If you're kind of interested in the dynamic trading tools, it's really cool too. These are three of my favorite things in MetaStock. We'll kind of come back to this at the very end. So if you're kind of interested in these things, we'll talk about it at the end. Again, what we're offering today, or the promotion that we're doing, is I'd encourage you to get the Trader's Toolbox. It includes 3 methods of people that I have just respect for, all of the stuff that we showed you earlier. You can get the candle profit systems, Kirkland's Automatic Swing Trader, and Rick Sadler's for $899 as a one-time cost. All but $59 of that is backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. You're going to get 2 years of stocks and commodities, 3 months of access to MetaStock DC as part of that, so all the data that you need to run it. I'll sit down with you to do a special boot camp. That's going to be September 21st at 6 o'clock Eastern. We'll also give you some training. It's a huge toolbox. And the reason I like to show RMO is it's something that you can use right out of the box. So $899 is the price on that. It's normally $1,800 to buy all those things separately, and your risk is $59. It's getting easier than that. If you like it a little bit, you have 30 days to evaluate everything, 90 days before you have to start paying for data, and find out why it's been rated literally #1 every single year since 1992. It's huge. So give us a call, 800-882-3040. You can visit online with us at metastock.com/saleschat. And I do want to throw a shout out to our sponsor today. Stocks and Commodities magazine has done 17,000 articles. They've got 1.3 million, 1.2. I thought this was funny. I pulled this off of their website, but it was a very specific number. Usually they'll say, oh, we're over 1.2 million, right? When they updated their site, they're at 1,226,237 subscribers. They must be really, really, really serious about doing analysis. That's the only kind of the number you'd see on a technical analysis website, right? But been doing articles, been doing a great job of publishing since 1982. And again, we really appreciate kind of their sponsorship of the event today. Hopefully you signed up for the free copy. You can go re-register if you need to get your free copy. Maybe you forgot to do one of the bonus offers. Go up to metastock.com/traders summit and just register again. And make sure you sign up for that offer if you didn't get it. If you do any offers, if you do a subscription to MetaStock today, you're going to get a 5-month subscription. If you spend $300 or more, you'll get a 2-year subscription to Stocks and Commodities. And did I mention before that we've won their Reader's Choice Awards 25 years in a row? I thought I mentioned it, but maybe not. Maybe not. So let's look at a couple questions. Gana says, can you take, I have 2 minutes. So Gana, I can show you exactly how to scan for buy-sell signals. Exactly. Let's go back in here because we have exactly 2 minutes. We're going to take exactly an hour. Okay, so the scan right here is, you just click on the Explorer. So just to go through the chart functions, this is obvious to open up a chart. This runs the scanning protocol. You can do a system tester here, and you can do the forecaster here. Okay, so this is for testing trading ideas. This is for doing statistical projections of what the market is going to do. So anytime you want to scan, just click on the binoculars here. What you're going to do is if you come down to RMO, okay, PQRMO, okay, there's a couple of different scans. This will just make a list of everything that's in a bullish zone. Okay, I'm going to run that scan. Going to feed the results into the new blue. Okay, so these 2 scans right here will give you everything in a bullish zone that also is bullish long-term and short-term. And then you can go in and kind of take a look at the ones that you want. What you want to do over here, you'll notice multiple exploration options. Instead of having the way to run this particular scan is use the results from the preceding expiration. So it'll go and make a list of all the things that are bullish long-term, and then feed that into a list of all the stocks that are bullish short-term. Okay. Down here in the scanner, this is just where you select your the list of instruments you want to do. So if you're in the US, you just come into the public online list, come to North America, okay, and you can scan all of the ETFs by putting a little check mark there. You can scan all the optional stocks by putting a little check mark in there. Go ahead and click on Start Exploration. That'll run through this exploration for you. Okay, we're out of time. There's some more questions. I'm going to type the answers while I am a good host and turn the time over to our next presenter. So let's go back into the PowerPoint. Somebody really quickly asked the difference between MetaStock DC. DC means daily chart. It updates once an hour during the day. RT means real time. Okay, you can do an extended trial of either one of those. And this the DC starts at $59. The real time starts at $100.